Growing up, we've all watched cartoons where crazy scientists used to do insane experiments in their laboratories. Turns out, that kind of stuff isn't limited to just cartoons. That's right, folks. Humanity has been on the verge of destruction more than a few times, and all of that is because of some insane experiments. And in today's video, we're gonna talk about that. So, without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. MK Ultra Project. One of the most disturbing things a human can do is have control over another person's mind. You can make them do anything, and no one can blame you for that because, well, it's not your hands that got dirty. But is mind control like that actually possible? We've seen it in science fiction movies, but what about real life? As shocking as it seems, all those rumors about the CIA aren't wrong. The top secret agency actually had a project named MK Ultra, where they tried to master mind control by using drugs like hallucinogens. The test subjects were forced to experience sheer torture that is pretty much impossible to recover from. Sleep deprivation, sexual abuse, physical assault, insertion of drugs without consent, and so many other unspeakable things were done to them. In fact, the experiment, which lasted for at least 16 years and resulted in the death of almost a dozen innocent people, was so disturbing, the CIA actually hid it from public records for decades before releasing the files. And why would the CIA do something like that? Well, seeing as it was the 70s, it was obviously to hit back against the Soviets. Number 2. Using the plague as a weapon. Remember when people used to think that plagues were caused because God was angry with humans? Well, in the race to become God, man has willingly sent plagues upon his enemies. Back in the 1980s, the Soviet Union decided to go a step ahead of all its enemies and figured out how to use the plague as a war weapon. May I remind you that in the past, the plague once wiped out a third of the entire world population, and the Soviets were trying to make it more deadly. Such schemes and machinery were part of the Soviets' bioweapon program, and it reminds us of the saying, "All is fair in love and war." Imagine using something so deadly that it was the reason behind wiping out a huge population from the surface of the earth just for your personal advantage. Anthrax, smallpox, and other diseases were just some such diseases planned to be used as weapons against the enemies of the Soviets. Number 3. The Hadron Collider. Sometimes, too much knowledge can be dangerous too. The human urge to gain information about every single thing happening in the universe has risked the destruction of humanity more than a few times, and the Large Hadron Collider is just another example of that. Another great step in the world of physics, the Hadron Collider was supposed to be of great help in studying particle physics. But how is it possible that the single most complex and sophisticated scientific invention won't have any hazards? That's right, folks. The Hadron Collider is accused of being the reason behind earthquakes and attracting meteors. I mean, have you seen the size of that thing? And earthquakes and meteors aren't the only dangers being attracted by the Hadron Collider. Black holes, one of the deadliest and most terrifying things in space, are also known to be formed because of the Hadron Collider. Everyone knows that a black hole can suck up a giant planet like Earth in seconds. So, is the invention really worth the insane amount of risk it's causing? Number 4. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment. The government carrying out horrifying and scarring experiments on people can be a great plot for a movie. But what if that happened in real life? As horrifying as it sounds, that's true. That's pretty much what happened with almost 100 African American people from Alabama. The government wanted to see what happens if syphilis is left untreated, so they denied treatment to an already underprivileged class of people. And what happened to the subject of their inhuman, cold, and racist experiment? 29 people died from the disease, while at least 100 died from severe complications that were caused by syphilis. And if you thought that this was the first time an American government-funded study was the cause of several deaths, you'd be in the wrong. Our next experiment happens to be just another example of that. Number 5. Intentionally caused STDs. Once again, proving that they couldn't care less about human rights or the law, the American government carried out another experiment where they deliberately infected people with syphilis, gonorrhea, and other sexually transmitted diseases. This time, their test subjects happened to be around 1,500 Guatemalans. Already infected strippers, injections, and other insanely inhuman and merciless ways were used to transfer the disease in the test subjects. And because of this horrible experiment and the sheer violation of human rights, the Johns Hopkins University has been sued for $1 billion. Alright folks, that was all for today's video. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. With that being said, take care and peace out.